Welcome to I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence, Inc., the podcast that amplifies the voices of survivors and empowers change. I'm your co host, Michelle, and in today's episode, we're doing something very special issuing a call to action. Today, it's all about us taking responsibility and stepping up to support survivors, raise awareness, and advocate for a world free of domestic violence.
That's right, Michelle. So often we feel like we're just one person and that our individual actions don't make a difference, but they absolutely do. Whether you're listening as a survivor, a supporter, or simply someone who wants to help, today's episode is about how each of us can make a real, tangible impact. We'll discuss ways to get involved, from advocacy and volunteering to supporting survivors in your own community.
We're all in this together, and every voice, every effort, every act of kindness can be the change we want to see. So let's dive into today's episode and explore the many ways you can take action and make a meaningful difference in the lives of survivors and those at risk.
Get ready to be inspired. And let's talk about awareness nationally and globally so we can make our world a safer, more supportive world for everyone, including our survivors of domestic violence and their families.
Hello, Carrie Ann, and thank you so much for coming on I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence, Inc.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Can't wait to
Thank
hear
you.
your story and your amazing insights.
Yeah, so my name is Carrie Ann George. I'm an integrative nutrition practitioner, naturopath. I practice holistic medicine and various ways that the body and mind are interconnected, and how domestic violence most often times leads to autoimmunity. It's something a lot of people don't know. Some people do. Some people are learning the connection between trauma and disease. But for the most part, most people don't put two and two together, that their toxic environment is actually what's contributing to their inability to function in life.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need to get into that some more today for sure. Love it. And obviously, you're a survivor. And did you realize this while you were going through? Or, like when did you get into this holistical and realize?
So that was actually, there's always a purpose to everything. And for me, had it not been for my experience, I wouldn't have been forced into this field. You know what I'm saying? I was forced to learn ways to get my health back, get my life back, get my mental state back. And yeah, so I've learned all of these tools to help myself and others due to the experiences that I've lived. So,
Wow.
if you can look and find the even tiniest silver lining, it helps so much because your mental state affects everything in your body. It affects the hormones that flood through your system, cortisol. Your cortisol shoots up when you're stressed, when you get into conflict, and that throws your entire system out of alignment. So,
Wow.
yeah.
All right, let's get right into it. So, what are some practical steps that individuals can take to support survivors of domestic violence in their communities, whether through direct action or advocacy?
So, for me personally, if I go through my story, um, it's hard when you're in a situation where you're being abused. It's hard to tell other people because it comes with such a great level, such a high level of shame because of the Stockholm that most victims go through. You're embarrassed that you're in this relationship where you're being mistreated so badly, and yet you can't get out. You don't see a way out. So, for me, if I had more supportive people in my life, I would have gotten out much sooner. But
Yeah.
I didn't. And people didn't understand the extent of the trauma and the abuse that I was living every day.
Wow.
I would tell people, and I'd tell people certain things to a point because you only tell them so much. Because if you tell them too much, then there's guilt. There's fear that it might get back to that person. There's so much involved on a psychological level in an abuse victim's mind. You're so suppressed, so it's hard for other people who haven't experienced that to know the extent of suffering that that person is living while they're in an abusive relationship. So I think part of the way people can help is to educate themselves on, what is Stockholm syndrome? What are the signs of an abuse victim? You're very suppressed. You apologize all the time. I mean, you don't have normal behaviors. You're very skittish when you're in a toxic relationship. You're afraid of what that person might do to you.
Yeah.
So you walk on eggshells all the time. For me, I wasn't even allowed to leave my house after dark. It would end up in such a bad fight if I went out for dinner with one of my girlfriends. It would be like 3 weeks of just berating me. And, he ended up putting tracking devices on my car, in my purse, recording devices under my bed. I mean, it was extreme.
Wow.
So these are some of the things that people actually, you wouldn't think people do this stuff, but it happens more often than not.
Yeah.
And, how do you tell your friends that, my husband's putting all these recording devices in my purse and he's stalking me? What do your friends do? That's crazy. They don't, they don't know any of the resources that you can go and find. They don't know about the victims advocates centers. And even then, even if you do know about these centers, if you try to leave, then what? I tried to leave. For the last 3 years, my abusive ex-husband, he actually lied to the court and he took my children.
Wow.
He said he was a stay-at-home father. I was the breadwinner. Ex parte returned to father. Judge handed my kids over to him. So how do you stop this? I had the whole victims advocate history. How do you stop it? You educate yourself. What to do step by step. If our children were educated in school,
Yeah.
they wouldn't get into these relationships. So part of the problem is our children don't know the signs of narcissistic abuse. They don't know the signs of love bombing. They don't know the signs of, this person is hot and cold. They don't know that that's toxic. It's going to lead to a toxic relationship. They don't know the signs of if somebody moves too fast. So who's teaching our children these things? These things should be taught in school. It's basic knowledge, like your ABCs. That's emotional intelligence. If you have that, that helps avoid the domestic violence situations.
Absolutely. And we just, on our last episode, episode 10, we were talking with an advocate. And one of the questions, we had asked was about universities and schools and what they're doing, to bring awareness. And, you mentioned, there's no funding to do that because 501, 3Cs and, everybody's volunteering to run these beautiful organizations, but yet, there's nothing for these kids to understand. And, you made a good point because you even brought up the narcissistic and behaviors. And there's another guest we had on episode 9, 2 episodes before you. And they talked about multiple personalities and personality disorders.
Yep.
So, our kids need to be brought aware because they just see so many toxic people in relationships and they just assume that's the norm,
Right. Well, yeah.
In addition, there's no awareness on the streaming networks. I mean, when's the last time you've seen domestic violence or human trafficking commercial? You see some human trafficking commercials, but there's nothing that I can see for awareness about domestic violence. There's nothing. It's shameful. So that's what we're working on with Hulu.
Yeah, it really is. And it starts with our kids because those kids grow up to be parents who then have kids, And it has to start somewhere. So my target goal is educate children. Educate children on law, because if you don't know law, you have no confidence to fight for yourself. I'm pro se now. I'm filing all my own motions. I'm going through everything through the court. I'm teaching myself law. You have to teach yourself law in this country. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
It is
It really
pathetic
is.
and it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
In order to protect yourself, I went through 6 lawyers. There's no protection for Americans in this country in family court.
Yeah.
Unless you represent yourself.
Because we're dealing with a lot of liberal judges. That's the main thing. And there's a lot of other things that are going on. A lot of my survivors that call my foundation in Las Vegas say, I can't believe it. I was told that, to go with this lawyer that's a local lawyer that works in, Clark County. And he's really well versed and he knows everybody that works there, knows the judges, the DAs, this, that, and the other thing. And then I found out after 125,000, he was basically, connected to everyone that was there, and it ended up just boomerang and getting a local lawyer because the local lawyers have been poisoned by the corruption or whatever's going on. I'm not saying corruption in that county, but generally they say it's either corruption or favoritism for certain plaintiffs. If it's the husband trying to get the kids away from the mother because she wanted to divorce him, and that's we go back to the parents using the kids as pawns. It's just hellacious. So the family judicial systems in the United States are broken, and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for any mothers or children. It's hellacious.
Yeah, it really is. It's so sad, looking at it all, seeing all these people, talking to all these people. But, I do see advocates moving forward and inching forward. But I believe the biggest impediment to, basically the biggest roadblock that we face in family court is that the courts have gotten the mothers pitted against the fathers. It's not about mothers or fathers. I tell people this: there is no gender to mental illness. Mothers alienate and fathers alienate. Stop pitting each other against each other, because then you're missing the whole point. You're missing the enemy because you're looking in the wrong place. You're fighting each other instead of the system. It's the system that's giving your children to the mother or the father who's alienating the child. It's not your ex-husband or ex-wife. So until we can get the gender wars to stop, just like the race wars, they just want to create confusion and conflict. Because if we keep fighting each other, we won't fight them. We won't see the actual problem. We won't see the root to it.
That's a great point. Thank you, Carrie. That's great.
Sean, you want to get into the next question?
Sure. Sounds great. Okay, here we go. How can people volunteer their time or skills to help local organizations that work with survivors of domestic violence and help make a change and bring awareness?
So I think for one, TikTok is making waves. You don't even have to show your face, use a filter if you have to, but use your voice, because if enough of us get loud enough, they will have to make some changes. Social media goes viral. If you put the right video out, it's shared across so wide. I mean, I started a TikTok channel, United for Children. It got 30,000 likes in a few weeks.
Wow.
So that's how prevalent this issue is, and my goal is to unite the genders, stop fighting each other. And how can you contribute? You can use your voice. You can share other people's voice. If you don't have a voice of your own, if you can't go and post videos, if you can't make videos, if that's not your thing, chat GPT, look up laws, put out there the laws. I use chat GPT all day, every day. I'm teaching myself law with chat GPT. It's AI. Like, really, you can ask it anything. Teach me the basics of the maxims of law. Teach me the basics of case law in my state. What are the constitutional laws? Every child should know these things as basics. Every child should know their constitutional rights. If you don't know those things, you have no protection, because you don't know how to use your sword or your shield. What good is it to you if you have protections available to you and you don't know how to use them? You're going to be sitting here frozen, traumatized, because they just keep taking your freedoms from you. There is no freedom in this country unless you know how to use your sword and shield. And that is knowledge. Knowledge is what sets you free. We need to spread knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you can help. That's how anybody can help, is spread as much knowledge and awareness about these situations and these issues as possible. I mean, if we spread enough awareness, if enough people are talking about it, it ends up getting to somebody. Like RFK just banned food coloring. Okay, it took years of people shouting from the rooftops of, this is a problem. It's causing my children all these behavioral issues, and people are, having all these diseases because of food coloring. How long did it take to get that? Enough people had to get loud enough that you're poisoning your own people. Stop poisoning people. The same thing. This court system is poisoning humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally creating a society where nobody wants to get married. Nobody wants to have children, because these children are now growing up. These are the second, third generation of alienated children having their own children and experiencing their own level of alienation. And then they're like, I get what my parents went through.
Mm-hmm.
And the third generation is now being Why would you have children? Why would you get married? They don't want to.
Right.
You see the resistance.
Mm. So, with that being said, how can listeners advocate for stronger laws and policies that protect survivors of domestic violence and hold perpetrators accountable?
So, first of all, you have to learn your laws, and then you can learn how to change them. So, you can modify bills. Anybody off the street can learn how to modify a bill and submit it. So, one of the main advocates for changing bills is in Texas. His name is Robert Garza. That's how I got into this whole situation. He changed and passed bills in Texas to make it illegal to interfere with child custody. There's a lot of bills that he's along with other people, other advocates, are currently changing bills and laws to make it safer for families, to make it more equal for mothers and fathers, and to protect children. And really, we need to put all of the focus on the children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're going to deal with the trauma,
They are.
you know,
And
without.
if you don't know how to do any of this, you just freeze. And then we have a society. Why does nobody want to work? Why is it so difficult to find employees? Why is it so difficult to find people who can function normally in our society?
Yeah.
Why? Because of this system. They're all traumatized. It freezes you. It freezes your nervous system, freezes your ability to move forward in life. It freezes your creativity. When you're traumatized, you're not creative. You
Mm-hmm.
can't make any money. These dads and moms aren't deadbeats. They
Yeah.
literally cannot function because their kids were ripped from them.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. And so with when you're giving someone advice about like their nervous system being frozen, you would just tell them to start researching and gain the knowledge that they need to, or how would that process go?
So the problem is, so many people have PTSD
Mm-hmm.
from the trauma. Going through divorce is traumatic. Losing your kids, oh my God, there's
Yeah.
no greater torture. It's inhumane to take a child from a parent and
Yeah.
completely cut off contact. So obviously you're going to freeze. You're going to feel like you can't function. All these people, I had a friend who took her life because her son was taken from her.
Wow.
She was an abuse victim. Her name was Hope. Beautiful girl. So she's an example of someone who didn't have at least one person she felt was a safe space that she could go to and rely on and lean on. And that's what happens to these people. If they don't have at least one safe space that they can go to and discharge some of this, they end up internalizing it all. And it either shuts them down entirely, creates all these chronic diseases to where they can't function, or they just take their lives because the inflammation is so great in their bodies. So, what I help people to do is find different coping mechanisms. There
Okay.
are there are devices out there you can get for nervous system regulation, vagus nerve stimulators. There's a device called the shift wave chair that I own. There's transcranial magnetic stimulation for your brain. It helps balance. There's laser light therapies that you can use. I actually use that. I have a doctor friend in New York that offers the treatment for laser light on the brain that actually helps to reverse symptoms of PTSD.
Wow.
So there's so many things out there. One of the first things that ever helped me was phototherapy, patching protocols. You can get red light, you can go to the sauna, you can go to the tanning bed, but don't use tanning lotion. Light helps to mitigate the effects of stress because it's a lot on the nervous system. It's a lot on the mitochondria. It overwhelms the body with cortisol, and you have to do something to mitigate that. And one of the reasons I promote sauna use, which you can go, a lot of these life centers, the wellness centers, they have saunas. And you go into a sauna, that's detoxifying cortisol from your system. So it's lowering that. It's lowering your inflammation, which lowers depression because inflammation causes depression. So even if it's situational, you have an inflamed brain. You're not thinking clearly. You get brain fog. You can't function. Then everything else shuts down systematically. So I teach people how to manipulate their brain waves. There's free YouTube videos on shifting your brain waves to restore coherence to the body and mind. That's one of the most effective things you can do and easiest things you can do is go onto YouTube and find there's different brain waves. Alpha is the relaxation calming brainwave. So if you get yourself into an alpha brainwave state, which if you listen to the tones long enough, you can actually shift yourself into that state at will. So you can use, like a hand gesture and your body will automatically shift your brain into that state, because it's rewiring your brain wave patterns, and it's rewiring your neurology. So you're basically creating new neural pathways to respond differently to something.
So is that almost like listening to like spa music or like some type of... Okay.
Yes, but it's a particular brain wave. It's the particular beats that help the brain shift to that state. So you can use self-hypnosis audio files. A friend of mine, Glenn Harold, has his own app. It's Ultimate Hypnosis, but he has all kinds of free YouTube videos. His is one of the first that I discovered. That was my favorite. And you can listen to these before bed. It makes such a difference. And it's something you can access on YouTube for free. So there are tools that we can use to mitigate these things. You know, we can't stop them, but we can shift the way we respond to these things if we use the tools. And it's not always that easy to just be like, okay, I'm going to put on my headphones and do it now. You know, we don't always think about it. But if we at least have that in place to where I have these options, I can do this. Teach your children these things. I taught my children how to shift their brainwaves. I've taught my children how to calm themselves, because they have to. Your children need these tools. My children are, you know, I see them every other weekend, or I see them Saturdays and Sundays for 2 hours at a supervised facility. But I'm teaching my children coping skills.
Yeah, because that's traumatic on them. Like,
it is.
Their whole lives, that's all they know.
Right. So that's essential. I mean, what's going to stop the alienation? It's how am I responding to my children as a parent? That's what stops the alienation process. The alienator cannot twist your child away from you if you remain their safe space. And we cannot do that if we don't feel safe. Our children are so connected to us, whether you're father or mother. Our children are connected to us, and they are connected to our energy. And cortisol, they've done the studies, you can feel that. That's that tension you feel from other people when you get around them and you're like, oh, you know, this person, like, I just don't feel good around them. You're feeling the cortisol getting in your nervous system. You know, our nervous system is like an antenna. We can feel other people's positivity or negativity. It's like, why did that person bring me up? And why does this person bring me down? That's part of it. Your children feel that, and it pushes them away from you because you're such a wreck. You're such a wreck. You can't regulate yourself. They are looking to you as their parent to regulate them because they're suffering too. Imagine how hard it is for you as a domestic violence victim. It was so hard for you to leave. I tried everything to leave. I tried everything. I couldn't do it until I regulated myself. I learned how to regulate myself, and then I got the strength to get out.
Right.
And I'm still dealing with, obviously, the alienation. Yeah. But my children are so bonded to me because I'm balanced. I'm grounded. And when they get around me, they feel that. They just they need that. They don't have that at home. They don't have that. They desperately need you as their parent to be their safe space. If you have to fake it, I break down sometimes after I see them. I like one time I didn't even make it out the door. I just collapsed on the stairs and just broke down crying. But I held it together in the room with them. I was good the whole visit. They feel our pain and they take it on. And they can't handle it, they'll push away. That's for survival. It has nothing to do with you as a parent.
That's so wild that you brought up. Like, I'm a very big energy person, and all the time I'll tell people, I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, when I'm around certain people, I just feel, I'm like, you're giving me negative juju and I don't like it. And some people are like, you're crazy.
That's scientific though. It is scientific though, because we have a Taurus field. It's all scientific. because our nervous system is like an antenna. So
Mm,
that's how we relate to people. That's how we react to others. That's why we attract these toxic people into our lives. That's
mm,
where we're at. That's where our brain is functioning. And
mhm.
so that's what we attract, because that was our normal. That was our, in our childhood, our normal was toxic. So
Yeah.
what do? You gravitate towards toxic until you heal. And then you gravitate towards the complete opposite. I'm with a man now that is the complete, in every way possible, complete opposite of my ex. How does that happen? I did such deep healing work.
Mm,
I did so much work.
wow.
Well,
That's great.
congratulations,
Yeah.
Carrie. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure all the thousands of people that are going to be watching this, they're going to say, oh my God, I can relate to her. Like, I can't believe what she's saying. I'm living it. So this is great.
So, I tell people, don't even date until you heal yourself. You're
Mhm,
going to attract, and you're not going to see the signs. You are not going to see them, because we communicate with our energy
mhm.
more than our words. You can tell if you're tapped in and you're here present in your body, which you're not when you're traumatized. You're not here. You're not present. You're not, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So until you become present, you won't recognize the signs. When you do become present, you will immediately, your ticker will be like, that's not right. I would meet people that subtly reminded me of my ex. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So these are the things we need to be teaching our children.
Yeah.
Because if they grow up in a toxic environment, guess what they're going to attract? What
Toxic.
they're used to.
Right.
That's how you stop the perpetuation of these cycles. That's how you change the world, is you start teaching your children all these things. That's where it's at. If we can't change the system, change the way our children react to it.
That
Awesome.
just makes so much sense. Like, I mean, obviously, as a survivor as well, my family is always like, we attract toxic or whatever because we're not healed clearly. But we always say it's like we always bring in the strays, but it's now I see, what you're
Right.
saying.
And two, if you look up mirror neurons, we look for things that is familiar.
Okay.
So if if we're not fixing us, we're
Hmm.
trying to fix someone else. We're unconsciously picking them because that needs to be healed in us.
Mm,
So we'll keep picking that same person
yeah.
with a different face,
Yep.
because we have not healed what we're supposed to, and our unconscious mind knows what our problems are, but we
Yeah.
don't consciously, we're not aware of, why do I keep attracting the same kind of person?
Wow.
Mm.
Great. This is great, Carrie. Great.
Yeah, no, definitely for the listeners and even myself.
This this will this will give our audiences a large volume of being woken up. Wake up. Wake up, smell the coffee.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next question.
Okay. What are some simple everyday actions that people can take to create a more supportive environment for survivors and keep and help break the cycle of violence?
So again, it stops with our children.
Yeah.
So, if you don't understand, it's like before you have kids, you have no clue what it's like to raise a kid. Like, we see other people are like, I won't do it that way.
Yeah.
So it really, the education needs to be out there, because until we educate enough people on, you know, how do I recognize that this person, maybe a friend of mine, a family member, is being abused? We have to learn the signs. We have to teach people the signs. They have to become educated.
And how can we promote this or advocate for this to be more in the school systems? Because obviously counselors, they kind of, but that's if your kid goes to a counselor,
Right. And then we have counselors that are so extremely unqualified and unethical that they promote parental alienation. They actually are the reason, like mine, they're the main reason why these parents are going through these issues and these children. My children's therapist, Lori Long Counseling in Stowe, Ohio, she was my kids' therapist. She's still their therapist for 3 years. For 3 years, the same problems, the same issues. And like she was trying to force them to talk to her. They don't want to talk to you. They don't feel safe with you. Stop trying to force them. So the amount of uneducated therapists out there is shocking. So I think part of it is we need better education for the therapist. We need better education for the lawyers. We need to educate those in positions of power. And it's starting to get out there. They're trying to add more education, but it's not fast enough. There's not enough of us coming together and actually putting together, advocacy groups and working together. So many people are working separately, doing the same things. They're not getting anywhere. They're not getting any headway because they're doing the same things. They're not working together. So we need to find other people who are on the same path, going in the same direction, trying to get the same result, and band together with them, because our voices together are much louder than they are alone. And that's how we change the system is, start with our kids, get into the positions of power, and help pass more stringent rules for them to be able to get certified. They should understand psychosomatics. They should understand the unconscious behaviors behind why children do what they do. They should understand the signs of parental alienation. These things should be mandated. They have to learn these things. So somebody has to spark that, to start that discussion.
Definitely. Absolutely. Something that's very important that needs to be done. TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok, right. I mean, they're trying to ban it because people are making a difference on there.
I know. I know.
And the thing is, I think that awareness is like really key because what you're doing is bringing awareness, and we're so elated that you're on the show and you're doing such a great job. But like you've been there, done it, and you're letting other people know. If you're just getting into it, this is what you got to do, and that's awesome. That's ready. That's fire.
Thank you.
You like that? That is fire. So Carrie, I'm impressed, and
Thank you.
I'm proud to have you on our show. We're going to have you come back. And Michelle, why don't you hit it with the next question? It's a big one. So
Wait, I gotta go backwards.
Hmm.
How could people volunteer their time or skills to help local organizations that work with survivors of domestic violence?
So I think it's really important. First of all, if you can educate yourself on all these issues and then go show up and say, how can I help? There are so many different advocacy groups, victims centers, domestic violence shelters. There are a lot of these groups locally. People need to make themselves aware of where they are, what organizations are helping people. Churches oftentimes have a lot of programs for, drug addiction, all these different things, domestic violence victims, children. And, people need to educate themselves on where these organizations are, show up and ask people, how can I help spread the message? How can I help educate people? Because there's not enough volunteers in these centers as well. They're
Yeah.
short staffed, so they can't help people as much as they should.
Right. And that's what we're getting from a lot of our guests and organizations as it's just so hard. They have to cut back because they're volunteering
Right.
time as well. There's no funding.
Right. So you need enough people to gather together with the same cause and the same mission,
Mm.
going in the same direction. In order to really make a difference, we need to band together and have our voices be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, so can you tell our audience where they can find your TikTok page?
So my TikTok is United with Children, United for Children. So you can just search for me on there, Carrie Ann George. I am primarily on Facebook. I've just started on TikTok not too long ago. But I also have a website, restoringequality.com. I'm
Nice,
working with,
nice.
yeah, I'm working with Robert Garza to attempt to change bills in all 50 states for the interference with child custody law, the three strikes law, various laws. Teaching people that they can take matters into their own hands. And my biggest thing is fire your damn lawyer. Stop using an attorney. It's a waste of money. You will not find an attorney, rarely, who has your best interest.
Right.
It's so true. It's
Very
so
rare.
true. It's so
Very
true.
rare.
They're all tainted. They're all tainted.
Yes,
Jaded.
or they know everybody. Everybody knows it's the good old boys club.
Right. Right.
You just
So
They're
said it
check.
again. You just checkmated this conversation. The good old boy network.
It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah, it's
It's who
crazy.
you know. It's who you know.
Yep.
If and I haven't spent a dime on a lawyer in I don't know how many months. My lawyers were all useless. They
Mm-hmm.
they held me back. If you have a lawyer, it's going to take you an average of 3 months to get any motion responded to. If you advocate for yourself, maybe a week.
Oh, wow.
You'll have a
Well,
hearing date.
yeah, let me tell you something. I had a very, abusive ex, and some of the motions would take 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years. And guess what? On her side, to be answered in, I don't know, a couple of weeks. You tell me what's going on. You tell me.
what's going on? She's a contributor to the system.
Exactly.
If
She's
you go to the bar, they have I forget what it's called, but they're a fellow.
exactly. Yeah. Somebody was touched. That's what I looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah, either
Yeah.
somebody knew somebody and just says, no matter if this guy's right or wrong,
Doesn't matter. They
just
still give them the
yeah,
win.
yeah, just give him the boots. Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all whatsoever. Does not matter. I had extensive, overwhelming evidence against the father. I did not a single thing wrong.
Mhm.
Clean as a whistle. They can't pin a single thing on me. He has a criminal record, drug addict, alcoholic, 5 mental health disorders.
Oh my gosh. But like everything else wasn't a lot, but then all of a sudden you added the mental health and he's allowed to take care of children. That's
Full
great.
custody.
You
So
know, you
what's
know.
wrong with our system?
Oh,
Yeah, a lot.
well, we could just refer to this name liberal
Yeah.
liberals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's sad. It's really sad. And that's why we have our foundation, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, located in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have a hotline. We have a tip line. We're manned 24/7. We have unbelievable resources for people that are in crisis. Anything from hotel vouchers, free pickups from rideshare companies to move them from hiding in the bushes across the street. I mean, we have so many different things, and some things I can't say because I don't want to give out locations of safe houses and stuff like that, but we do have those. And we're doing everything we can, and we're partnered with Hulu. And we're going to come out a commercial, the first one ever to combine human trafficking with domestic violence, because I feel that domestic violence is obviously directly linked to human trafficking. Because guess what? When you're getting human trafficked, if it's sex trafficking or work trafficking, you either do this or we're going to kill you or we're going to do this to you. So guess what? Well, that's kind of like terroristic threats, right? So I would say that falls in the realm of domestic violence, right? Do
Yeah.
this, or do this, or your mother's gonna will do something to your mother. I mean, it's crazy. So I want to combine domestic violence because I'm in the human trafficking space as well. I want to combine both in a really great ad on Hulu, and I'm so excited that they've reached out to me, and I'm just feeling so blessed that they're going to partner with us.
Oh, that's so great. We need more organizations like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
so desperately.
yeah. Because I want to get out this. I want to have a presence in the streaming networks, and it's so hard because you do a commercial, okay, you get it done, but who's going to air it, and how much it's going to cost to air? Well, if you have a cause in a 501c3, they know that you're trying to do good, and guess what? Everyone knows that domestic violence is at epidemic levels. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy in the States. I mean, what's going on in like one state that's just horrific is actually Alaska. I mean, do you hear what's
Mm.
going on there?
No, I haven't.
Well, globally, let's reflect. That's really bad. That it's terrible what's happening to women there. Okay, many rapes, and they just go unprosecuted, and a lot of domestic violence, crazy stuff, broken arms, broken legs, um, concussions where they have brain damage, and they just kind of fluff and stuff them. And then in globally, I talk of London all the time, and it's not just London; it's South Africa. I could go on and on. Egypt, all over the place, Middle East, Far East. It's an epidemic. But in London, women are getting slaughtered like cattle there. I'm not even joking, like cattle. It's hellacious. I have a friend named Julie, and she wrote a book about what she went through, and her story is just beyond your wildest imagination. And I don't even want to share it. It's grueling, but she wrote a book. She changed her life. She got control of her life, like you talked about. No more coercive control, manipulation, financially being exploited, whatever, what have you. All these things that we all know about. But she changed her life, and she said it was hard. She said it was really hard. It wasn't easy, and she talked everything that you talked about. She had to find her inner self, and she had to let go. It was very hard. She had to let go of
Yeah.
what was going on, and she had to just look, like, kind of not even look back at the rearview mirror, just keep moving. And just she kept positive people around her. She went to support groups. She did a lot of yoga, meditation, and she found herself on her way back. And I caught her after the end of it all, and I listened to her journey. I'm so proud of her. So I can't give you her last name because she doesn't want it out there, but her name's Julie. um, she wrote a book, and she's in London, and she's on my LinkedIn. And I'm so blessed that I meet thousands and thousands of people. I have a huge following on LinkedIn on two different accounts. LinkedIn has been really good. I want to give kudos to LinkedIn and the founders and their staff because they have really given me wind to my sails and keep me as a whistleblower for injustices for families and children in judicial, family judicial centers globally and nationally. I'm like everywhere. I WhatsApp, I talk to people, and I counsel people. I do hypnotherapy online. I do a
Oh,
lot of
I
stuff.
love that.
I do
Oh, that's so great.
I do
I love
hypno.
that.
Yeah, I do hypno, and I'm certified. And so many people just, I just wish there was a clone of me, but there isn't.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's the thing that broke me free.
yeah. I
It's
mean, hypnotherapy is like so good. Like, I mean, it just really, if you first of all, if you want hypnotherapy, you can call a hotline and set up an appointment. But we can do them if you're local to where we are when we're doing it, but we can do it in person. But you must really want to be hypnotized, and you want to change whatever is bothering you. You need to want it. You can't just say, well, I'm thinking, yeah, it'd be nice to try it. I'm not going to do it because I have to see and interview. And, there are people that want change. Like you. You wanted change, Carrie, and you found it.
I
You
got
did.
it.
Michelle here, the co-host, my co-host that I love to death. Guess what? She needed to change, and she found change, and she changed, and she did whatever she had to do. And literally, Michelle is lucky to be here because she was almost killed. Okay, and I was almost killed. Believe it or not, the big burly guy that I am, I was almost killed. Like literally flatlined, brought back to life from an abusive ex that was very, very traumatic. I don't want to empower it, so I don't talk about it in detail. I'm
Right.
just sharing so everyone knows it doesn't have to be this little woman that's 100 pounds that gets
Right.
beat up because I'm 6'2.5". Okay, I'm 265, and I'm in pretty good shape for my age, and it's horrific when I reflect in what the court system did about it, how they
Yeah.
buried and hid everything and
Yep. They do.
just
That's what they
cover
do.
ups and didn't answer motions. It's horrific.
My
And
ex pled guilty to domestic violence too, 2 months prior. So
and did
yeah,
he
it
get?
gets
Hold on.
Michelle's like, what?
Did he get convicted?
Yes. So he's trying to get it expunged right now. I got a call today from the prosecutor of a different court. And I said, hell no. Marcy's law.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That
listen,
what kind
all I can say
what
is it's sad that, you know, your ex is like that. All we can do is pray up for him, and
That's
hopefully
it.
because I don't want to talk negative because I feel bad for him, and hopefully he finds the light,
Hopefully. Yeah.
and
That's all.
maybe
Yeah.
find some faith, and maybe, I hate to say it, but one thing I had to do is I had to let go about my anger, and I pray for my ex to find the light, and just like,
Well,
find
I
it.
think he's found some sort of light. He's an usher at his Christian church.
Well, there you go. There you go.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I understand what you're saying, but
wrong kind of light.
yeah, I
You
told
might want to switch churches.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But I mean, I don't really like to make fun too much of people that are suffering because, it's very sad because they're humans and maybe there was good. I mean, you were with them. There must have been some good and it just all went south, right?
Well, the good that came out of it was that I learned all these things to help others with. So
Exactly.
that's what I look at, and sometimes you have to make light of situations because they're just so extreme that if you don't laugh about it, you
Oh,
just
I know.
have to sometimes
Yeah.
just make light of it
Yeah.
and go on and hope that, their really mental illness
Yeah.
gets addressed in some way
And
because they're
yeah, and Carrie, what I was going to say to you is your TikTok accounts, also your social media and stuff. Once we release this, we'd appreciate if you just post it everywhere so people can see
absolutely.
you on the show, and then we'll have you on our distribution network, which I think actually, Michelle, which one will we be using? We'll
Spotify is just
yeah,
welcome.
yeah, just one of them. One of them will be Spotify, but there'll be like many. So we plan on really broadcasting our message. And one thing I want to talk to you about, we're going to be launching DV Talks, which is a platform similar in nature for domestic violence victims to get involved in a forum and get up on the podium and get to speak about what happened to them. They get 20 minutes, and then we have questions for 10 minutes. It'll be all done on Zoom, and it's called DV Talks. So it's going to
Man.
it's going to be epic, and I want you to be on that for sure. I want you involved.
That would be so awesome because, victims are silenced. We're told not to speak. The courts tell us we can't talk. I can't say my ex's name because that's in my decree. But I can talk about it because you know what? I've been talking about domestic violence since 2017. I've been an advocate against child abuse since 2017. I started talking out and speaking out.
Yeah.
So you can't silence somebody. That's part of their healing journey. You have to talk about it until you don't have to talk about it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you stop talking about it, then you've healed because you're not having that charge every time you do.
Okay.
Now you can talk about it to help others heal.
Yeah.
And you don't have that emotional, like, I'm so angry and spiteful and I want revenge. That's where they're at. Leave them where they're at.
Exactly. Carrie,
You rise above and heal.
yeah. Carrie, it was incredible. You have been like sent from the heavens. It's like a breath. It's like a breath of fresh air because me and Michelle are preaching and preaching to so many, and you come in and you just take everything, encapsulate what we've been doing, and try to get out as far as awareness. And on steroids, actually, you've done a lot more because you're really on steroids about awareness, and we love you for that. So I want to say we love you. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. And Michelle, do you have anything you want to say for any words in closing?
No, just thank you so much. You did great. Thank you for coming off of your cruise and coming on the podcast. We appreciate you.
And Carrie,
Thank you.
thank you for holding the sword and the shield to
Yeah.
fight. And thank you for being who you are and keeping yourself grounded because you're doing a great job. You're not letting the system
Thank
get
you.
you. Thank you for
Mhm.
not crying. And although sometimes you're going to cry in front of your kids, but for
Yeah.
what you said took a lot of like seriously, that took a lot.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of I'm a Survivor of Domestic Violence, Inc. We hope today's discussion has inspired you to take action, whether that's advocating for change, volunteering with local organizations, or supporting survivors in your community. Every single effort matters.
That's right, Michelle. No act is too small. Whether you're sharing resources, lending a helping hand, or just starting conversations in your own circles, you're part of the solution. We've included some resources in the show notes to help you get started and take your first steps towards making a difference.
Remember, we all have the power to create change, whether you're a survivor, an ally, or someone who wants to contribute. Together, we can build stronger, safer communities. Don't wait for someone else to take the first step. Your action matters.
Thank you for being part of today's call to action. Let's keep pushing forward, supporting one another, and making the world a better place for everyone. We can't wait to see the difference you make.
Take care. And remember, you have the power to change lives. Keep advocating, keep supporting, and most importantly, keep believing in a future where domestic violence is a thing of the past.
Until next time, stay strong and keep taking action.